ask them in the chat if there's only one other person in the Hangout, or ask them to Anton in the comments, I guess, Anton. And Anton can ask them. I'll answer all the questions at the end of the presentation. So as discussed today, I'm going to go through the positive factors. In fact, I'll share my screen now. I'm going to go through the 2016 positive factors. You can all see my screen now, I guess. Basically, it's in 2016 things have changed a lot, and so I'm going to go through the positive factors that you can use to rank in 2016. In the next Hangout, in about a month or so, I'm going to go through the negative factors. Before I do that, you should just learn a little bit about me. That's me. This is my name. I've been doing SEO and digital marketing and branding for over 16 years. This was my TED Talk that I did when I was in Ireland recently, and that's the name of my my documentary about Google that I'm doing coming up. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them, but I won't talk any more about that. That's the only shameless plug I'll do. Well, that's a second. It's the first of the shameless plugs. I'll do a shameless plug at the end as well. So, 2016 SEO. It looks like a deep, dark forest to many people, a foreboding forest with lots of steam and things coming off of rocks and trees. However, SEO is not dead. In fact, SEO in 2016 is very exciting and fairly yummy looking, apparently. There's SEO in 2016 is very exciting. In fact, there's a lot of really interesting changes in 2016, complete game changer changes that if you would take advantage of them, you're going to be doing very, very well. It's in fact a little bit easier to rank in 2016, and a lot of the bull crap we had to deal with, we don't have to deal with anymore, so it's actually quite exciting. However, as I usually say, the devil is in the details. And so let's break down the actual positive factors for 2016 and see how you should be doing SEO moving forward in 2017. So the first one is, of course, the most important one. It's ye olde on-page SEO. On-page SEO is still just as important now as it has always been. In fact, in my opinion, it's even more important now. So let's take a look at that. So the first thing you want to do is, I mean, and I know this is going to sound somewhat remedial for people, but I'm just going to go over this quickly. You've got to research your topics. You have to do ye olde keyword research. What do people search for the most? What tool would I use to do this? I would use the Google AdWords Keyword Planner tool. It's still the best tool to use, even though it's a little less intuitive than it used to be for SEO, but you can still use it. And I'll be making a video soon about how to use Google AdWords Keyword Planner for SEO keyword research. And here's a big change from previous years. I would go broad match. In previous years, it was very important to go to look at what was called the exact match search query, or the exact match keyword. I would look at the broad match keyword. For example, if you have a page and you sell strange Christmas gifts, you don't know if they're searching unusual Xmas gift, weird Christmas gifts, weird Christmas presents. You want to do, and you want to find out what the broad match is for all these different, vaguely, unusual Xmas gift, unusual Christmas present, unusual Christmas presents, all these different variations. You want to use the broad match for these. And then after you find, because in 2016, Google, as you probably have realized, has this thing called RankBrain, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And they can vary the search results based on the phrase it's looked for, and they know how to swap out, unusual for weird or Xmas for Christmas, that kind of thing. And then once you get the broad match, the most traffic that people are searching for, then and only then would I drill down to the best exact match searches in the broad match cluster of what you found. And I would do that, and I would optimize for the exact match for the most part, based on a couple other things, depending on how your competition looks as well. If your competition is really strong, you might want to go for a different exact match in that broad match cluster. But the key here is that I would only do it if it's natural. I mean, I always had trouble coming up with examples off the top of my head, but you'll know it when you see it. If people are searching for something that clearly it's a search phrase, Google is not going to rank you very well anymore. You want to go to what people want, not what they're searching for. I repeat, if in doubt, you want to go for what people want in the end, not what they're searching for, because that's not the way that Google search engine works these days. In the past, that's what you had to do, not anymore. And in Keyword Planner, one of the more beautiful things about Keyword Planner is you can also tailor down to some demographic information. Like, for example, you can select for your area. And searches do vary area for area. If you're doing local SEO and you're a chiropractor in Chicago, it's going to be different than the searches if you're a chiropractor in a town just outside of Chicago, or different variations. They might be searching for, massage therapy just outside of Chicago, and they might be looking for masseuse in Chicago or something along those lines. So you want to check to see it can differ per geographic region. And of course, you want to watch for mobile searches versus desktop searches. Keep in mind that Google has already announced that in 2016, over 50% of their searchers are on mobile. I repeat, in 2016, Google has admitted that over 50% of their searches are on mobile. So you want to check to make sure that the keywords you're optimizing for, is that mostly mobile traffic or is that mostly desktop traffic? And if it's mobile traffic, you better have a mobile-friendly website, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. And finally, if you haven't done keyword research recently, I would do it again, because with the advent of voice search and changes in demographics and changes in searcher behavior, you might be surprised to see how the keywords have changed over time. So if you haven't done it recently, I would do it again. Then after you've researched your topics, and obviously the next thing to do is to make your pages. I would make your pages based directly on the topics you found. So if you have a list of 6 topics that you think are great, like electronics recycling, e-waste recycling, hard drive destruction, hard drive disposal, those are the names of your pages, right? If those are the keywords you want to go for, those are the names of your pages. And you only want one keyword or one topic per page. And if it's natural sounding, you want to name the page the search query. If I want to rank for electronics recycling, my page would be called electronics-recycling or electronics-recycling.html. And that tells Google this is exactly what this page is about. This page is about electronics recycling. People who want to recycle their electronics can go to this page and do that. And there's a couple other factors in there, but this is where you start with on-page SEO. Otherwise, I would put that in the title and the H1 and the content. John Mueller from Google has recently leaked that the title and H1 still give you a ranking boost, a minor ranking boost if you have the keyword in the title and in the H1. And for example, let me change the example. So I use this example all the time. Let's say I sold a product called red apples. Let's say I sold red apples online. Apples. Everyone eats apples. I hope an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Hopefully you know that. So let's say I was selling red apples online on a site called joshsfruitemporium.com. So to optimize that page, I would have joshsfruitemporium.com/red-apples. That's the product you can get there. But in the title, I would have buy red apples, or wow, get the best red apples here. Buy red apples is lower in the sales funnel and might rank me for, let's say that's the keyword I want to go for. The page is more about what they will find there, not necessarily the topic, but you can make it the topic as well. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that as long as it's natural, is to have the keyword that the call to action in the title is more important, and the keyword is important for the URL. It's equally important for both, and you want to have it in the H1, and you want to have it naturally in the content. You don't want to stuff that keyword in the content too much, because there is a threshold. My correlation reports that I've done that I mentioned earlier show that there is a threshold where if you put keywords in there, you're going to rank better until you hit a magic number, and no one knows what the magic number is in general, but I can find it per your niche. Then you will drop off if you have too many keywords in there. It's a low-quality signal. So the upshot is that you want to do correlation studies to see what is the keyword density of all your competitors, and then you don't want to go over that keyword density. You want to match their keyword density, but you don't want to go over it. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer that afterwards. And then finally, so the keyword can go in the URL, especially in the URL. You can put in the title if you want to, but a call to action in the title is more important, and put the keyword in the H1 and a couple times in the content. Now, there's this question about exact match domains. That's what EMD stands for, is exact match domain. It used to be in the past that it was very important to get a exact match domain. In my opinion, that is not anywhere near as important anymore. And anyone who's been trying to rank exact match domains lately, they will probably agree with me, except for exact match domains are for human beings now. You know, so for example, let's say I had a website called upandcomingcars.com about all the new up-and-coming cars. This website's going to have trouble ranking because up-and-coming cars is also a general query that people type in. And so your brand search click-through rate is not going to be very high because it's going to be diluted between people who want a recognizable car blog. If you're starting out, it's not going to be good because people are not going to click on you as much as if you had Josh's great car site, or something that was kitschy that they'd heard about before, carawesome.com or something like that stuck out to them, that told them what it was about and would increase the click-through rate. So I'm going to talk about that more as I go through, but I just want to say for now, I don't think EMDs give you any ranking boost anymore. None of my correlation reports show that exact match domains have any ranking boost anymore. Exact match query in the page name does, but exact match query in the domain name does not. So I would definitely not get an EMD, especially if it's a generic EMD like upandcomingcars.com or buyredapples.com, and especially if it costs a lot of money. Quite frankly, in my opinion, people in this industry will disagree with me, but in my opinion, the domain industry is going to take a nosedive and is taking a nosedive because it does not have the SEO benefit and anywhere near the SEO benefit that it used to have. So don't spend any serious money on an exact match domain. And as I said, you want to write for humans. You want to be precise but not repetitive. Ultimately, if you were a super SEO nerd like me, you would do a correlation report and you would find out what the keyword density of your competitors are on page 1 and what they are on page 20, and you would try and go somewhere in the middle leaning towards page 1 and not go over. That would make you competitive on an on-page perspective, but you wouldn't go over. And I would stay a few percentage points underneath, in fact, just to be safe, because they could be ranking in spite of the fact that they have keyword stuffing. It's only one quality signal. It's one strike against them. It's like a 3-strike-you're-out system. But ultimately, you want to write for humans. You want to make the content engaging. You want to be precise about what's there, because it does matter. Keywords in content do matter, and you can rank on that, as I'm going to show you a little bit later on as well. But you don't want to go over. And as I said, the title and meta description is mostly for click-through rate, not so much for stuffing a keyword in there. You can put the keyword in there. You will get a boost for it, but again, only if it's natural. And I'm going to show you how to write better titles in a little bit. And then finally, this is a great tool to use to write better titles as well. I'm gonna move on just to make sure we have enough time. But if you want this URL, I'll give it to you. But this is made by a guy by the name of Tony McCreath, I think his last name is, and he has a great tool for seeing how your title is actually going to look in the Google search engine results page. That's why I call it the Google SERP emulator. So I'll give you this URL later if you want it. And finally, you want to stay fresh. You want to update your page regularly, especially if it's on a topic that should be updated, right? If there's new and fresh information about this topic, you've got to stay up to date. I would have an updated on date on your page. I've seen ranking boost from this alone. I would have a current copyright as well. It's a quality signal. And if you have room, I would put the year in the title tag. It's an old trick I learned from Eric Ward, and it does seem to work. And I don't know if it's because it increases your click-through rate or because Google likes the date signal, the freshness signal in the title. But if there's room in your title, I would put the year at the end. It seems to give a boost. Okay, after that, I'm afraid the myth is still true. Bigger is still, I'm afraid, better. What I mean by that in this context is that more
just there is a spot question and it's a repeated question. Like people asking why you combine page number 1 with page number 20, not something in the middle like number 2 or something. Can you answer this spot question?
Sure, yeah, no problem. The reason why is because that gives me a bigger difference, right? I would, page 20 is Nowheresville. That's like spot 200. or page 19 is what you said I usually use, and it is what I usually use. But like spot 190 is completely different than spot 1. And I see a much bigger drastic difference that paints a more interesting picture about what correlates on page 1 and what correlates on page 19. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm assuming that makes sense. I'm going to go on.
Yeah. Go on.
It really does. The question was like, why don't you have on top of the tuples also something in the middle just to sort of evaluate that it's, I don't know, statistically stronger or something.
Yeah, well, the software that I use, I mean, Anton, do you mind if I go off a bit off topic on this and expand this and expand? Use is written by a guy by the name of Ted Kabitis, and he uses all that Spearman's coefficient and all that really high-end statistical stuff, and it's all in the report. When I'm trying to get a general snapshot of how it looks, I like to compare page 1 to page 19, because like you'll see, like if I do it for you, or if you buy the software now, the software is now for sale, and you want to do it yourself, if you're a huge search nerd, I can give you probably a discount on that. Contact me, or I can just do it for you. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way if you're not a huge you like diving into statistical models and things like that. I see a bigger difference between page 1 and page 20. It's not so much about the graph, right? I know a lot of stats guys like to say, oh, look, if the graph goes up, that means I can project it up here. That's not necessarily the case for SEO, in my opinion. I want to see what everyone on page 1 is doing and what everyone on page 20 is doing, and I want to see the differences between the two. I don't want to see the graph between the two. I don't want to see page 20 has a little and page 1 has more, because that tells you one thing. I'm not saying that's bad. I want to see what page 1 has and page 20 has, and what they don't have that's mutually inclusive, because that tells the picture to me that if everyone on page 20 has a keyword density of 500, but everyone on page 1 only has a keyword density of 10, okay, that starts to tell me something, right? And that can be graphed in theory, but I just need a snapshot of page 1 and page 20. I don't need a graph necessarily to do it, because it's not going to graph easily. It might graph like this, and then you're going to go, oh, then you're going to throw that signal out. No. I don't think you should be throwing that signal out if the graph isn't nice and smooth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that, and statisticians do that all the time, right? That's how they work. They want to see that curve. They want to see the nice curve. It's not necessary, and in fact, it's a little bit easier and quicker and dirtier and faster to do it the page 1 and page 20 way, but you still have all that information in the report. So I can talk more about that afterward. Let's get back to if Anton agrees, let's get back to the presentation. Whoa, where are you? Screen share. Share screen. There we go. So as I was saying, unfortunately, bigger is still better. And in this sense, I'm talking about websites. Now, I'm going to contradict myself directly after I say all this, so pay close attention. In theory and in general, more pages does equal more rankings. And a bigger site usually ranks better, and it gives you more internal link juice to play with, and you want to maximize your internal link juice to your top ranking pages. On joshsfruitemporium.com, if red apples, blue pears, and purple whatever, bananas was my top products, that's what should be, and what I want to rank the highest and what I want to sell most and what I want people to buy, that's what my internal link juice should be going to in my navigation structure. And those 3 pages, apples, pears, and bananas, should all be linking to each other if they're related, if they are related. If they are not logically related in the silo structure, quote unquote, I shouldn't be linking to them. But that's where all the max pages should get the link juice to tell Google, rank these pages, this is what our site does, RankBrain, rank us for this. And remember, if you lose pages, you are going to lose rankings. I mean, that's why Gary Iles from Google says you shouldn't know index pages that are low quality. Ideally, you should make them high quality because, and he doesn't ever actually say this, but I know the reason. The reason is because if you lose pages, you're going to lose rankings, right? You don't have the same internal link juice. You don't have the same domain authority because you have less pages. And any queries that those pages are ranking for now, you're going to stop ranking for them because you deleted them or no indexed them. And don't forget, this includes URL parameters. URL parameters are that thing on your website and it says question mark, variable equals blah, second variable equals blah, right? I've seen sites lose tons of rankings because they have a bunch of URL parameters on like search results pages or on like really closely on thin pages or really closely related product pages. And Google in Search Console has said, hey, look, we found 200,000 URLs on your site on this URL parameter. They're all duplicated or very similar. We're going to strike them from the index. And when they strike them from the index, it is the exact same thing as if they no-index them. And then those sites lose ranking, and they think they're hit by Penguin, and they think they're hit by Panda, and they don't know what's going on, and they start making these knee-jerk reactions of deleting links and hurting themselves further and stuff like that. So one, this is important why you should get an SEO who knows what he or she is doing to diagnose what has happened. Two, this is why you should be careful with URL parameters and make sure you have a rel canonical on them. Also, it's going to be a big negative SEO exploit if you don't, which I'll talk about not in this seminar, but in the month in the seminar in a month, because negative SEO is a deranking factor. I'll talk about that then. However, that all being said, so you might be thinking, okay, so Josh is saying I should go out there and artificially inflate my blog so that all my users are just as impressed as this young lady is by all my big site with lots of pages. The answer is no. No, don't go do that. Only do that if you can maintain user satisfaction. He said, tongue so in cheek it's almost poking out. Only do that if you can maintain satisfaction of your users. If they don't convert, right? If they don't like the page, if they don't +1 the page, if they don't give you a positive comment, if they don't buy something, then you shouldn't be doing it. Then it is not fast or sexy or easy or interesting or awesome enough. So I cannot stress this enough. You might think that a bigger site is always better. That's not the case. If you don't have the money or the expertise or the wherewithal or the time to make the absolute best magazine, online magazine for your particular topic, then don't even try, because you're just going to disappoint your users. And no one wants disappointed users, and Google is going to notice that, and you're not going to rank very well. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'd be happy to explain afterwards. Okay, the next important thing is click-through rate. So SERP click-through rate matters. Your search engine results page, the Google results page, click-through rate on your listing matters. Why does it matter? Well, for a number of reasons. One, because you get more traffic now, right? If you're showing up 100 times for acupuncture Victoria, BC, and only 5 people click, you have only a 5% click-through rate. If you make that to 50%, you're getting 45 more people that month going to your site. So if you boost your click-through rate, you get more traffic now. Furthermore, a better click-through rate, a better title and description is going to equal better conversion down the road, and it's going to equal better Panda defense. Why? Because the title and description is like a sales pitch. It's like a promise of what people expect to get. And people get happy when you do exactly what you said you're going to do, and people get pissed off when you don't do exactly what you said you're going to do. So if you have, if I had, acupuncture special 30% off this month in my title, and they clicked through and found that wasn't true, well, then they're going to bounce, and that's not going to be good. But if they found that that's what I'm going to give them exactly what I promised, and it seems to be a high-value thing, they're going to convert more, and they're going to be more satisfied. And because they're more satisfied, that's a higher quality site, and you're going to rank better, and you're going to sell more. And quite frankly, I think that click-through rate is a ranking factor in and of itself, right? Miley Oyi, who's a program tech lead from Google, has said that directly, point blank, both in videos that she's put online and in conferences that she presents at. I've seen her at multiple conferences. I've had private conversations with her at these conferences. And Rand Fishkin of Moz recently did an experiment when he tweeted out, hey guys, everyone do this search and click on this result and see if we can boost it. And they did. It was boosted within 24 hours. And for the global general public, not just for personalization. So it's clear that they're using click-through rate now as a ranking factor. The question is, are you going to stick because do people bounce or not? That's the question. So how do you get more clicks? Well, first thing, you need to find what your click-through rate is. Now, I have a video showing you exactly how to do this on my YouTube channel, /JBachynski. It's right there. But if you know a little bit about it already, you can go to Search Console, Search Analytics, and then click the click-through rate box. You might want to click the other boxes like impressions, position, clicks, and click-through rate. That'll tell you your click-through rate. And then you want to check to see how your title, how your snippet is going to look on the Google SERP. And you can do two things for this. One, you can use that Google SERP emulator that I mentioned earlier. That's on Tony McCreath's site. But also, you can use the Google AdWords ad preview feature. Somebody asked John Mueller recently, if I'm in Toronto, how do I see how it looks in Mississauga? The answer is use Google AdWords ad preview. Just put in Mississauga, Ontario in the ad preview, and it's going to show you what the SERP looks like for those people. Or I can do it for the Ukraine, I can do it for Poland, I can do it for anywhere, right? And I've tested it out by actually changing my IP addresses and things like that. It actually works pretty well, and it's super easy to do. It's also going to show you the ads that show up there. And so for local SEO, if you want to see what it's going to look like, and you might be surprised to see what queries Google thinks is a local query now versus a global query. So if you're trying to rank for, I don't know, web design in Chicago or something like that, or you're trying to rank for web design or something like that, but you don't know if Google's going to think that's a global query or a local query in any particular area, I would use Ad Preview. It's a free tool. It's super awesome. And finally, you want to differentiate yourself to improve your click-through rate. For example, if your competitors look like this, some kind of ye olde SEO title, you want to stand out with a title like this. Wow, get top red apples. You can get the best apples for low prices, free delivery, visit today. The name of the game is to build value and have a call to action. I can't stress this enough. In the titles, you want to build value and have a call to action. And I have another video on my YouTube channel that deals with this specifically and how to do this. So again, go to my YouTube channel if you want to see that video. But you can see here, I don't know if you can see my mouse moving when I move it, but probably not. You probably only see the screen. But get top red apples. That's a call to action. Visit today. That's another call to action. You notice how I put it on the bottom right-hand side because that's Design Psychology 101 for left to right readers. If you're optimizing for Hebrew readers or Arabic readers, it's different because that's, as I understand it, that's a right to left language, and so the eyes track right to left instead of left to right. So you'd want to put this visit today in Hebrew or Arabic, you'd want to put it over here, right? Because they're going to be reading from this side or something like that. Please forgive me if that's wrong, if Google doesn't list it that way, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Anyway, design psychology that I've studied, I know, is you want to track on the way people read, because then people are going to see these call to actions and click it more often. Statistically, social psychology has shown they're going to click it more often. You also have to build value. It's a sale, right? People are not going to make the sale. In this case, they're not going to convert. They're not going to click on your search engine results page. Everything is a conversion. They're not going to convert on the search results page for you if you don't build value. It's a sale like any other sale. So you got to say, you can get the best for low, free prices, blah, 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 blah. And there's another really interesting social psychological experiment that I've discovered when I was doing my PhD. I did my PhD in psychology and philosophy. And these words here, you, free, now, new, and because, are called the 5 psychology power words because they do statistically tend to improve buyer adoption, in this case, click-through rate. And of course, you can replace free for best or any kind of positive evaluative adjective. Now can be today, right now, RFN, something like that. New, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you, always, yeah, you. Who can do this? You. The big arrow pointing at them. The U.S. Army wants you, that kind of thing. That's the reason why that worked, because it used one of the power words, okay? So this is very important to improve your click-through rate. So that's all going nice and well, and that's kind of the way it's always been. But here's the big change, and Google's going to take over my computer. And RankBrain is now the big change in Google. It's the new artificial intelligence. It says hello because it's an artificial intelligence. It actually thinks. So what is RankBrain? So you guys have probably heard of RankBrain. RankBrain is Google's new artificial intelligence. It's the 3rd biggest ranking factor. I'll get to that in a second. And basically, it's built off of another Google algorithm called Hummingbird. Now, if you don't know what Hummingbird is, it was written in June 2013. In June 2013, Google completely rewrote their ranking algorithm. But people hardly noticed because they didn't realize the significance at the time. Now, if you want more information on Hummingbird, my last year's course, my 2015 course, I went into some detail about Hummingbird and how Hummingbird works. So you can find that on my YouTube channel as well. Again, that was /JBachynski. But basically, Hummingbird is like a database system. That's why they called it Hummingbird, because it's like this program that quickly retrieves information, spiders information, retrieves information. It spiders information on the web and quickly makes a database out of entities and or like, you know, the schema, this microdata stuff that people are doing. Like, this is a product, this is an event, this is a person, this is a contact us page, these are ratings, these are reviews, this is an article, etc., etc. It makes an entity database of things. It's the Internet of Things. It's the things, not strings, that Google's focusing right now. So Hummingbird, if you think of like a brain, Hummingbird is the memory. It's the database component that quickly stores and retrieves information. And RankBrain is the cognition. RankBrain is the thinking thing. You know, to use, it's the cogito ergo sum, right? To use the Descartes' famous line, it thinks, therefore it is. It's the thinking component that talks with Hummingbird, and Hummingbird is the memory component. And you want to ask me, how smart is RankBrain? Well, RankBrain is smart enough to outsmart the Google search engineers 10% of the time. I repeat, RankBrain, they did a test, and RankBrain could correct more than 10%, like plus 10%. RankBrain could correctly identify why pages were ranking 80% of the time, and the search engineers could only do it 70% of the time. So RankBrain, although it's only basically at the toddler level of intelligence, it's like trying to explain things to a 5-year-old, or a 6-year-old maybe, or a smart 4-year-old. But it has access to all the information, the sum of human knowledge, right? And it can access that in a flash. So in terms of raw processing power, it's about only as smart as a 5 or 6-year-old. But it can access the sum of human knowledge, right? Like Data on Star Trek could. But it's not nearly as smart as Data, thank goodness. Because Data, I'm going to nerd out a second, Data had an ethics program. RankBrain does not. It has the ethics program that Google gave it, which is not very ethical at all. So anyway, I'll stop nerd rant and go back to the presentation. So RankBrain is the artificial intelligence. It's roughly about as smart as a 4 or 5-year-old. So when you're writing your pages, keep in mind you have to explain at like the 5 or 6-year-old level. Not in terms of the words you use. You can use bigger words because it has a complete thesaurus. It knows what every word means in every language, but just about. But you have to explain at a conceptual level. You have to say, you know, electronics recycling, we recycle TVs, we recycle monitors, we recycle computers, we recycle your radio. You know, you have to explain all that to it very, very kind of blatantly. And so this is how it works, right? Basically, RankBrain is a machine learning artificial intelligence. It watches what people searches. It watches what they click on for that search. It watches what they bounce on internally to make, and finally where they convert, to make a guess on what each search phrase means / what the user wants. I repeat, I don't have a lot of proof to prove all this, but I have a lot of proof on my YouTube channel. If you want to go, that's where all the proof is. So I'm just going to say it now, and if you want the proof, go to my YouTube channel. But basically, Google has been pretty blatant that, yeah, they're watching searches. They watch where people click. They've bragged about how they can do away with passwords because they can watch your mouse gestures and your keyword strokes to tell if you're a human or not. And they make a guess, and they can watch conversions, and they can make a guess onto whether or not that you terminated the search or not. Pun fully intended, given that there's a terminator in the background. So for example, how this would work. Let's say someone searched for Neutrogena. That's the example I used in my 2015 course. In fact, this is an example, this is a site that I rank, and this is basically, this is a secret of how I ranked it without any links, is that if the search results have Neutrogena Motors and NeutrogenaSkincare.com, and in my case they click skincare more because it's a skincare site, but if they click, for example, in this case, Motors, and are quote-unquote satisfied as dictated by the user actions, I repeat, if more users click skincare, and are satisfied as dictated by their user actions, then RankBrain knows that that's what people want when they search Neutrogena, and they adjust the entity database slash the rankings accordingly. So it is a ranking factor, it is a ranking adjustment. That's why they call it RankBrain, right? It's a brain that ranks sites, right? The meaning is in the name. You know, Google's not very inventive, right? They're not English PhDs. They're computer science PhDs. They call it RankBrain for a reason, because it ranks sites. And this is how it works for all queries. All queries in all languages. Knowledge-based queries, this is the new Core Panda, right? This is their new core ranking algorithm. This is the new Core Panda. They've been very blatant about that, and they've admitted it because they're pretty arrogant and they think that it's pretty much impossible to gain. And this goes for informational-based queries, buy queries, transactional queries, do queries, and also for brand queries or go queries. It's for global and local queries as well. They've been doing it on local longer. They've been doing it on global. They tested it out on local first in an update called Pigeon, and then they moved it over to global because local is a smaller subset. Of course, it makes sense they would test it there, and also it's a more semantically relevant subset where they're not really sure what you want because people are talking stuff on their mobile device, which also has a high correlation to local rankings, and they're not really sure what do you want. So that's where RankBrain cut its teeth. And as I said, they've already gone on record in a Forbes article and admitted that RankBrain is their third biggest ranking factor. I repeat, they've said publicly in a Forbes article that RankBrain is their third biggest ranking factor. So let's break that down a bit. So I'm going to share something with you that I think is quite remarkable. And quite frankly, I could build an entire theory of SEO on that information that they just gave out alone. Right? They said it's the third biggest ranking factor. So what do we think is the first two? Well, it's pretty obvious. The first one is the on-site semantic. That's how they tell what the site is about. Without that, they have nothing, right? They can't, because Google bombing used to exist where you could make the search query George W. Bush, you could make complete idiot, like a page called complete idiot. If you link to it enough, rank with George W. Bush anchor text, you could make a page called complete idiot rank for the query George W. Bush, and people did it and showed it. So after that fiasco, Google turned off the off-site semantic, and they're going now with the on-site semantic. And it only makes sense. If they want to know what the page is about, well, then what's on the page is going to directly tell them what the page is about. So they have, and so basically, it's the URL silo like I talked about, joshsfruitemporium.com/buy red apples, or red apples is the page name. You have the query you want to rank for, buy red apples, to call to action, and the title, the H1, and your text. And it's the internal links pointing to the majority of your link juice to your top pages, and the on-page schema. I didn't mention schema yet, but on-page schema is super important. It is going to be not a boost moving forward. It's going to be kind of a placeholder. As RankBrain understands schema better, John Mueller has already admitted, he already admitted verbatim that, yeah, moving forward, schema is going to be a ranking factor. It's going to be a negative ranking factor, actually, if you don't have it, because people who do have it are going to have a bit of an easier time with RankBrain, because RankBrain has an easier time understanding them. Remember, they're going to give priority to the sites that make it easy for them, and RankBrain is only as smart as about a 5 or 6-year-old right now, and so if you make a product schema on your product page, it's going to be that much easier for RankBrain to understand that you sell a product on that page. That's number one. That's the biggest factor. Second biggest factor then is probably off-site semantic, right? And that's going to include backlinks, but I'm going to have a bit of a caveat to that in a second. But it has no follows, topical mentions, text mentions. I've tested this extensively, and these are ranking factors. Off-site schema, such as the ratings, that's hugely important. If you remember from my 2015 course, I have lots of experiments to back that up as well. Social actions, shares, and clicks, having an important and robust and well-used and well-liked social profile on Facebook or on Google Plus or on Twitter that you link to, that links back to your site. And then finally, the final off-site semantic, the off-page signal that they're starting to use is brand searches. John Mueller has said point blank that if you don't have brand searches, you're not gonna rank. You're gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later on. But that also gets now into more what RankBrain is looking at. RankBrain looks at the brand searches. It looks at if the search bounce, if they go to the first page or a few pages and they bounce back to the search result and click something else. The internal bounce rate, how many people, returning visitors you have, possibly you could look at, and the conversions. John Mueller has mentioned conversions verbatim as a ranking factor. I repeat, John Mueller has mentioned conversions point blank as a ranking factor. So this is the kind of stuff that they can detect. This is the kind of stuff that Google is looking at now. And I have a lot of I've got a lot of reasons to believe that, which I'd be happy to share with at the end of the presentation. So quite frankly, you could base your 2016 SEO on this alone. I'm going to go through a lot more of this stuff in detail, but you could base it on this alone. Okay, if you have any questions about this, I'm happy to answer them at the end. So how do we optimize for RankBrain specifically? Well, you want to make sure users are searching for your brand, right? Including brand plus service searches. This is a nice little leak that John Mueller gave as well in a Hangout recently. And John Mueller is a Google employee who has been a good leaker for webmasters for a long time, actually. He gives a lot of good information. And I kind of do like a summation and an interpretation of everything he talks about, and I kind of help people understand his Google speak, because he's kind of like a politician, so you need someone to kind of explain what he means when he says something. In my opinion, you can disagree if you like. You're free to watch his Hangouts yourself as well. But anyway, so the brand search thing is important. So for example, why does Walmart outrank you when you're trying to sell shirts? Because 1 million people search Walmart a month and go to Walmart. And they even search Walmart space shirts and go to Walmart's shirts page, right? And so Google can tell, well, this is a vote. This is a link. This is the new link for 2016. If people are searching Walmart space shirts, that's telling them, one, Walmart is good, and Walmart is also good for shirts. And this page we're ranking that 60% of people click on clearly is the page for that. You see how RankBrain works now? This is the new link for 2016 that is much harder to gain, and this is why Google likes to go for it. And as I said, you want to make sure, I like to use 60%. I'm able to get 60% conversion rates on my sites. It's nothing special, it's no magic, it's just knowledge. There's no reason why you can't get 60% click-through rate on your sites as well. Some people are looking at this, listening to this, and scoffing. Some people are drooling at the mouth because they have like 5% click-through rate if they're lucky. But you can get 60% click-through rate on brand searches, or if not higher. Like, for example, why would anyone ever search Josh's Fruit Emporium and not go to my site? The only reason why is because, one, they go to Amazon instead because it looks better. Two, they click an ad because it looks better. Or three, they see Josh's Fruit Emporium is a scam kind of site, and they click that instead. That's a problem. If you're not getting high click-through rate on your brand searches, you need to find out why. And then you need to, when they get there, you need to make sure they find what they're looking for, preferably on that very page. You don't want to have them clicking around your site if at all possible. It's called click bleed. You know, statistically, people are going to bleed off every time they have to click. You want to have your information above the fold, above 500 pixels is my general rule of thumb. You want the site to respond under 3 seconds to everybody. That's important. And you want to have higher than 60% conversion too. Yes, I can get higher than 60% conversion. I can show you how to do it. And finally, most importantly for optimizing for RankBrain, you can't let them bounce back to Google and select another result. This is the kiss of death. And you don't want them bouncing around your site either. That's another kiss of death. Google can track this. I guarantee they track this. I guarantee it's not going to be a good ranking factor. Okay, moving on to another positive. So how do I do that? Again, as I said, a short, kitschy, memorable URL name. As I said, having kitschy.fun is a much better domain name than highly priced, highly expensive exact match domain, because it's just not going to give you the ranking benefit anymore. I would rather have something that people remember, like Car Awesome or Josh's Fruit Emporium or Fruit Wow or something like that, that people can go to and it excite them and it builds value that people click on. To do it the white hat way, you can also advertise. You can pay for some advertisements. It doesn't have to be expensive, in places where real people see you. And you can say, instead of saying click here for the advertisement, you can say search us on Google, right? And maybe, hopefully, a percentage of them will. but also if they'll get to know you, put an advertisement on TV, so they have to search you in Google. Put an advertisement on radio or on podcasts, so they have to search you on Google. And then, it's not going to be, it's not a problem. This happens all the time. A new company does a TV ad, gets all these, you can get them cheap. Like you look around for cheap or alternatives for this. You don't have to buy a spot on, the Super Bowl. You don't have to pay $1 million for this. You can get cheaper advertisement that'll get people searching you on Google. Have a sign on, if you have a brick and mortar store, have a sign on the window. Have guerrilla marketing around town. Have people spray paint your thing so people search it. Search this on Google, blah, and they'll search it and go to your site, right? Because people are curious and they're waiting for the bus. They're like, what's this? And they're going to do it, right? So these are all great ideas, guerrilla marketing, great ideas, cheap ways of getting people searching you on Google to get your boost here. And of course, you have to have to do this the white hat way, you have to have the obvious, absolute best value for the site of your type. If your site sucks, then they're not going to come back. They're not going to search you. They're not going to recommend you. They're not going to refer you to friends on social media or anything like that. So you want to be so good that they search you out, they return to you, they bookmark you. I think they probably track bookmarks in Google Chrome. Why wouldn't they? It's a link that they share you, etc. And finally, if you want to go a little bit more gray hat, if you've tried all this and it's not working for you, and you need to boost it a little bit more, I would incentivize brand searches and clicks, again, with good titles, building value, having fast technology, but also contests. You can do contests. You can always, if you have a brick and mortar store, you can always give discounts for your existing customers. You say, hey, I'll give you a 10% discount if you go into Google and search us out and click and give us a good review. That's a great thing to do. I know for a fact that it will help you rank, especially if you're local. But the brand searches will help you rank for global as well. And you have to remember, if you're going to try and orchestrate this in any way, he said, tongue-in-cheek, putting on his gray or black hat, he said, if you're going to try and orchestrate this in any way, it has to be real IP addresses from the area you want, not proxies. It has to be real aged Google accounts from the area you want, not the same Google account, although I would still try it with that. But I would try different aged accounts if you're going to try and orchestrate this. It's got to be in the local area if you're trying to rank locally. And they've got to do the search. They actually have to type in the search. It can't be a computer program. They actually have to move the mouse and click stuff, because Google can tell. That's how Google separates this all out, right? Remember, they have a password system. You don't even need a password. They can tell if you're a human being, statistically speaking, by the way you key in and the way you move your mouse, and have other factors, including persistent global cookies that are even persistent in incognito mode that Eric Schmidt, Google chairman, admitted that they have. And SEO experiments have proven that they have, because personalization should be turned off, but there was still some personalization in the same geographic location, even when they went in incognito mode. So if you come back to me and say, how can Google do this? That is the wrong question to answer. They have $15 billion of profit and the most intelligent programmers on the planet. They can do it, all right? This is how they do it. They've already, if you watch Google carefully, you can see how they do it. And I've also had private conversations with Google who've told me they can do it in private, right? I'm probably not supposed to tell you this, but I'm telling you anyway, because quite frankly, Google's not my friend. They're a bunch of unethical creeps. So, local. At the end of this hangout, I will give a high five to anyone who can guess where this is, where this is a picture of. Hint, I can see booze and I can see a church. So, $5 to the person who can guess successfully where this is. It's a place that I love, actually. Okay, so doing local SEO for 2016. Enhanced listings, and I'm going to go a little faster now because we're coming up on the hour mark here. So enhanced listing is your friend. Remember, you want to get a Google business photographer. If you have any kind of office or any kind of front foyer or any kind of thing that a Google business photographer can come and do a 360-degree tour of and give you what is called an enhanced listing, they call it an enhanced listing for a reason. It boosts your ranking in local. It costs a little bit of money, and you want to make sure your Google My Business is filled out correctly before the Google Business Photographer goes there. But they can improve your ranking in the back end by verifying your categories. I know this for a fact. You want to maximize your map listing as well. This is your Google My Business listing. If you have free parking, say it there. I have a little bit of a leak from Google telling me that they will actually rank you higher if you fill this out, especially if you have free parking, because that's better for users, right? Anything that's better for users, it's either going to increase click-through rate and or they're going to rank you, boost you directly. You want to have a quality site. Remember, Pigeon is the RankBrain beta, right? They can tell about a task completion that's going on. If people want to order a chiropractic appointment, if people want to get a free quote to fix their garage doors, they want to serve them the site that lets them do that the fastest and the easiest. So task completion and multiple good reviews that's why I put them in red. They are the most important thing for local SEO. You want to have multiple good reviews for your Better Business Bureau, for local, for forums, for blogs, for Google+, for Yelp, for Facebook, etc. You want to have all those things. That's the most important thing, task completion, and have you can never have too many good reviews. You can never have too many good reviews, and you don't want bad reviews. If you have bad reviews, that's the kiss of death. You've got to deal with those. You've got to get rid of those. You got to take them down, pay them off, do whatever you got to do. It's not about people seeing them. It's about Google having algorithms to read them. Google has an algorithm called the bad merchant algorithm. People forget about this. They released it a couple of years ago, but they have it, and they can tell negative semantic. And if you have an overwhelming negative semantic, like 1 or 2 bad reviews and 50 good ones, that's fine. You just might want to get rid of those just so people don't see them. But if you have 50 bad reviews and 50 good reviews, that's a problem. I guarantee you that's a problem. Shut the business down, start another one under a different name. I'm dead serious. You want to be mobile optimized? Remember, in local rankings, mobile is statistically much higher because people are out and about and just have their phone with them. And you want to watch your usage. You might be surprised to find, and look at your keywords, you might be surprised to find that you have more mobile traffic than desktop. And so you might want to make sure you have a mobile-friendly site. It's very important. It's going to be fast. It's going to be mobile optimized. You can't have any errors in Search Console. Now, here's 2 suggestions that are controversial, but they're super important for local SEO. I can make your local business succeed on these 2 factors alone. Have a clickable business name to start and be located in the geographic region. This might not be possible for you. I fully understand that. And if you've already started your business, you might be reticent, obviously, to go change your business name. However, I cannot stress enough how important this is, especially if you haven't started the business yet, or maybe you're in a position to start another business. You want to have the search query in the business name. For example, I had a client once in Seattle who did Thai massage and massage therapy and chiropractic and there was actual spine doctors working there, and they did really cool stuff, really good stuff. And they ranked #1 for Thai massage or stuff like that. But they had a weird name because they picked some weird name. Now, if the weird name is good from a catchy standpoint, they called it Invisio or something. Nothing that said to me or said to anyone in this culture, as far as I'm concerned, that hey, these guys do chiropractic and massage therapy, right? Their click-through rate was terrible, even though they ranked #1. And so this was a problem. It's not helping them rank there. It's not helping them get any customers. And it could be a detriment, and it could very soon not be ranking there. And they would kind of bounce to #1 and bounce off on and off. I think this is part of the reason why. If they had called it Invisio Chiropractic and Massage, if they had called it that, then their click-through rate would have been way higher. Why? Because people are dumb. People are dumb. And, well, people are not dumb. People are in a hurry. People are in a hurry, right? And they go, I got to get a massage, my back is killing me. Massage therapy, Seattle, go. Oh, I see massage therapy, I click it. They glance right over the thing called Invisio, whatever that is, and they click the massage therapy. So you've got to put it in your name. You've got to put it in your official business name. And you can trick Google a little bit. You can call it Invisio Massage Therapy and Chiropractic, even though your business name is officially Invisio Limited, if your business, Google's not going to check the Better Business Bureau or your local business centers in your city or your country. But as long as you can use that as a mailing address, it's not a problem. They'll send you the postcard, you verify it, and then you're good. So that shouldn't be an issue as long as everything else online says that, right? You have to have your exact address and your exact business name has to be the same on your My Business profile, on your social media. Everything online has to say that from now on. All your paper advertising and all your brick and mortar stuff can just say Invisio if you like. Although I recommend it say Invisio Massage Therapy and Chiropractic too, because people then know what you are. It's better branding. It's super important for branding. Finally, it's super important to be located in your geographic region. If you want to rank for Mississauga, Ontario, you better have a business in Mississauga, Ontario, because the biggest ranking factor for local is the geographic location. I repeat, the biggest ranking factor for local is the geographic location. So if you want people in Mississauga to find you, you better have a Mississauga address. In fact, Mississauga is a pretty big city. You want to be in the population, the most population dense area of your customers in that city, right? I repeat, and not only just for brick and mortar purposes, but even if you go around and deliver stuff and whatever, you go to their house, you need to have, you do better to have an address right in the middle of your population density, wherever that is, if it's in the suburbs or if in the urban area. And quite frankly, I would get your site served from that geographic region, an IP address in your geographic region as well. That used to be a little trick that worked, back in the day, and I see no reason why it doesn't work anymore. It may not be a big factor, but if the price is the same as getting, hosting somewhere else, I would get it hosted there. Now, before I move on from this slide, I want to show you what I do not say here. Notice I do not say anywhere here have a blog on your site. Notice I do not say anywhere here buy links, right? That has almost nothing to do these days with local SEO. The blog especially. Don't have a blog. It's not going to help you at all in any way, shape, or form. Local sites, for the most part, have to be transactional because you're trying to task complete, right? They want to book an appointment. They want to book a free quote. They want to book a service you're coming out. That's a task completion website. You should be a brochure task completion site. 2, yes, you can get some directory listings. You can get some good directory listings on forums or things like that, but the review is way more important than the link. And the links can be dangerous if you're getting links from spammy places. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, social buzz. Social buzz is extremely important. Social buzz is like a party that you want to go to, that you don't want to be rude at and you don't want to sell at. Let me explain what I mean. So everyone says social is the next big thing, but very few people tell you exactly what social factors help. I will tell you exactly what social factors help based on my research and based on Google leaks and based on my correlation reports that I can do and the sites that I rank and the sites that all my friends rank, and we all talk and we're like, yeah, this is a signal, we know, okay. Activity on your associated profiles. As I said, it's super important to have a either a Facebook or a Google Plus or a Twitter page or all the above, preferably, of real organic people talking on there and commenting and positively commenting and plus money and liking it. That has to link out to your web page, and your web page, your index page has to link out to that. Remember how the authorship HTML used to work for SEO? It works the exact same way. Google just kept that mandate. How do you get real conversation there? Well, the best way to do it is to post share-worthy content. Your social media profile is like a TV channel. People will not watch it and engage with it if you don't have good TV shows. So you need to post interesting information at the very least. You do not want to post. You do not want to sell. You don't want to auto-post. It's like going to this party and trying to talk with these young ladies and chucking your business card at them and saying, I sell cars, I sell cars, I sell cars. That is not going to help, just think about doing that. That is not going to help endear you to these young ladies. That is not going to help you sell anything in any way, shape, or form, right? And that's what people are doing on social, and they're doing it wrong. You want to make friends on social. You want to engage with them. You want to comment with them. You want to talk with them. You have to have content that they enjoy. If it is content related to what you do, great. But for the most part, it's usually not content related to what you do. It's usually fun content, memes, but also interesting content. You can brainstorm viral. I've done very well. If you can get a video to go viral, you can do super well. And I've done super well with photo shoots, on viral photo shoots, super well on blog posts that have gone viral, infographics that have gone viral to a lesser extent. That used to be much more viral, but not so much anymore. And video that goes viral. And so if you want, I actually talk about the brainstorming process and how you can actually break it down into steps, and it's easy to do. That's in my last year's video, my last year's course, the 2015 course, how to brainstorm viral media. So you want to make friends with them, don't sell them, don't auto-post. Then you want clicks from social. There was a little known Google leak where they admitted that clicks from social they're tracking as a ranking factor, and I have SEO experiments to prove this is the case, and all my buddies agree, and they're doing this and agree it's the case. These are the buddies that don't post information anywhere because they're mostly all black hats, and they just rank sites and make tens of thousands of dollars per month, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, ranking sites. And so they know a little bit of what's going on. And it's clicks from social that's important. So that's another reason why you want to have this really active social profile so that you can get the clicks from social as well. You can also incentivize the clicks. And a little known secret is that you might be able to black hat those clicks as well from the social. That might be possible and less important to Google to track as their own property, their own search results pages. It's just, you know, whatever, just putting that out there hypothetically. Shares of your pages. Now, if you get 10 people sharing your page, it's not so much a signal. If you get 10,000 people sharing your page, I guarantee you that's a signal. If you get 600 people sharing your page, that's a signal. I've proven that. I've shown that on my website, themoralconcept.net, where I have shown if you can get something to go viral, it'll rank very quickly. So, you know, and where can you share it? Anywhere Google can read it. Google can't, the jury is out as to whether Google can read private Facebook profiles. I think, and Rand Fishkin suspects that they can because of third-party backdoor deals that they have with companies they've bought out. But if that was ever found out, that would be bad. But, you know, Reddit, Pinterest, Disquest, Google+, Twitter, they can definitely read Twitter. They have a direct pipe into Twitter. They put in their search results, for crying out loud. And you also want to get buzz from the experts. You want to use a great tool like BuzzSumo and get experts talking about you. You have lots of followers. It's good for marketing in general, and I think it's a good SEO signal as well. So get the experts talking about you. Use BuzzSumo and reach out to them. Tell them they're great. You know what really works great in getting in people's good graces? Charm, flattery. Flattery is the way to everybody's heart. Rousseau wrote it in the 18th century, amour propre. Flattery is the way to get into everybody's heart. Everybody suffers from amour propre. Any French speakers out there, please forgive me for butchering your French words, your beautiful French language. But vanity is the way, unhealthy vanity is the way to get everybody to do what you want. And so reach out to these experts and tell them how wonderful they are, and then hit them up to retweet your thing or do your thing or stuff like that. Trust me, people do this all the time because I have people emailing me all the time telling me how great I am, and it's really nice. I enjoy it. Don't stop. it boosts my ego very nicely. Please don't stop. But it's a great way to get people's notes. Okay. Now we come to links, which in my opinion have less and less value and are incredibly risky in 2016. Let me explain. So Google has very robust algorithms, I think, based on RankBrain, which John Mueller has all but admitted, based on their machine learning artificial intelligence of everybody filling in the disavow file of what links are quote-unquote spammy. That tells them what links they should trust, statistically speaking, and what links they shouldn't on something like a Bayesian filter, where if it's on a spammy site and has a spammy page over certain keyword density and the link looks like this with exact match query, ignore that link. So, as such, these are the kind of links that Google has admitted they trust and logic dictates they trust. It comes from a high authority site, like a real newspaper or a real charity or some kind of real business, not where everyone else is getting a link. It's a main content link. It can't be on the footer or the sidebar. It's because they just ignore those. And in fact, if you have too many of those, they start to penalize you. John Mueller has said so, verbatim. Anchor with it's an anchor text with natural stop words. It's not just a bunch of exact match query, buy red apples, buy red apples, buy red apples, and the appropriate amount of links. If all your competitors have 1,000 links and you have 100,000 links, that is an obvious spam signal. You do not want to match the SEO spam patterns if you're going to be bothering linking, which I'm going to talk about in a second. What links do they not trust and you should not bother getting? Oh, all the ones that people sell. Any link on a new blog is useless. They're going to ignore it. and possibly hurtful. Any manual post site, any site where you can log in and put a link, they're going to ignore that. Any multi-topic sites that have articles on chiropractic and they have an article on insurance, they have an article on law, you do not want to link there. I guarantee they're ignored. They're probably hurtful. Any press releases they ignore are hurtful. Any big directories where people, like there's like 50 links on a page, you don't want it. The page rank you get from that is so minuscule, you don't want it anyway. Articles, sites, you don't want, obviously. Any kind of followed sidebar or footer link, you don't want that could possibly bubble up to the manual team. It used to, but now John Mueller seems to indicate it just kind of flows some negative link juice. Any kind of comment link, social bookmark, any forum profile link, you don't want. They've all said specifically you don't want. And I would not, my general rule of thumb, this is my general rule of thumb, but I would not go over 8% exact match links on our commercial links on do follow anchors, even if it's in your URL. If my URL was Buy Red Apples and I put buyredapples.com as the anchor text on a bunch of sites, that would still hit me for this new penguin that's going to be coming out, and it would hit me for the previous penguins as well. There's no reason to believe that's going to get any better. So you might be wondering, well, Josh, how do I get these trusted links then? My answer is don't. Yes, I just said that. Don't bother getting links. There's no point. Try to rank, because it's too dangerous, right? You want to try to rank on the other safer signals that are equally as powerful that I already mentioned first. I repeat, you don't want to rank on the dangerous signals that have a risk built in. You want to rank on the signals that are only beneficial, that will only improve your sales, that will only improve your conversions, it's only going to improve your branding, it's only going to improve your social media, it's only going to make another channel for you, aside from search if you have a good social media channel. It's only going to get you more prestige and more notice and more news reviews and more branding out there, and it's going to rank you higher, as opposed to paying even more money on a lower quality product that has a higher chance of killing you, right? Links are cigarettes. And I know in Europe, a lot of people smoke more than in North America, but so I hope you don't get offended to me saying, but quite frankly, links are like cigarettes. You know it's bad for you, you know it's going to kill you, you know it's not really helping your image, but quite frankly, people are still doing it, so don't do it anymore. What you want to do is you want to show Google that you're popular. And links, even historically, links have only been a stopgap measure at doing that at best. I repeat, Google ranks the sites that are popular, not the sites that are the most linked. And they do have other algorithms and more robust and better algorithms. And moving forward, the link signal is going to get smaller, and the other signals are going to get bigger and more trustworthy, because less and less people are making links. When is the last time your grandma opened up her blog and made a link? Never. Never. That never happens anymore, right? Only in the SEO industry are we still making links, because people sell them and they just don't know what else to do. Here's what else to do. So I've told you exactly what else to do. Here's your competitive advantage that everyone else is not getting. So this is what I would do. So this is kind of so basically this is the end of the presentation of the positive factors. This is how I would break down everything. So I'm going to go through this. You want topical mentions. That includes links, but mostly you want text mentions, URL mentions, brand mentions on topically related sites, right? If you sell a product, go on to Amazon.com and make a comment and say how Josh's Fruit Emporium sells the best red apples on the Red Apples Amazon page, or on Walmart, and on whatever else. And then on blogs we talk about it. And then on rating and reviews site, go out there and put your rating and reviews, right? You want good ratings, star ratings, and reviews, whether you're local or not. And then you want social shares. You want hundreds of people sharing the stuff that you post on your profile that is associated with your website. And if it has your link in there, your URL in there, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. You want your brand searches and variations. This is the most important one, probably, the brand searches and variations. You know, why is Walmart outranking you? Because 1 million people last month typed in Walmart and clicked on the Walmart site. And then another 1 million people typed Walmart space shirts and clicked on the Walmart shirts page. So that tells RankBrain, well, sorry, small mom and pop shirt selling store. 1 million people typed this in last month. Is it fair? No. Is it good? No. Is it the web of democracy anymore? No. Does Josh like it? Obviously not. But this is the way it is. So you need higher brand searches and variations. Like if you sell, I don't know, whatever you sell, you got to have your brand name plus your product. So that tells RankBrain, hey, these guys are great for that product. And your social profile, as you said, has to be a party. With or without pretty girls, it doesn't matter. It has to be a party. And people have to be talking and interacting there and plus oneing and liking and commenting positively. And that has to be linked to your website field in your social profile. The website field has to be your website, and the index page on your website has to link back reciprocally to your social profile, facebook.com/your fan page name here. And what does your site look like? Well, your site has to look like this. It has to be a fast Mo Pro site. It has to be a fast site that is under 3 seconds. I mean under 3 seconds for everybody. Under 3 seconds on mobile or desktop. They have, if not faster, quite frankly, 2 seconds. They have to get the information they want. It has to be a modern-looking design. I think they have direct algorithms to detect this, but definitely indirect to detect this because people don't like old-looking sites. It doesn't look trustworthy. And it has to be a professional-looking site, a modern-looking site. You do not want them bouncing between the site and the page before they find, they're looking for what they want, they can't find it, their pogo sticking all over the place. You do not want that. I can tell you exactly how to find that in your Google Analytics. I have a video showing how to find that. Just look at my YouTube channel. And on the actual page you're trying to rank, these signals point to page, and these signals also point to the site. And you want the page name is what it is. /Red Apples. The title is what and why. Wow, buy the best red apples here. The H1 is our top red apples won the 2016 award, right? The keyword is in there, and it also has a what and a why. The content is what, why, and how. You want a high click-through rate. You want 60% click-through. You want the high click-through as possible. 60% definitely higher on brand. You want 60% conversions. Yes, you can get 60% conversions, or at least you can boost your conversions. I can show you how to do it. And you want the on-page schema telling exactly what you do. You do not want any schema errors in Google. That'll be a problem. And if you're installing WordPress, make sure to check because WordPress comes pre-installed with a bunch of broken schema. Yay for WordPress. I also hate WordPress. If it wasn't clear, I hate WordPress. WordPress sucks. So, anyway, this is the basic snapshot of the positive stuff. If you have any questions about that, if you need any help with SEO, by all means, feel free to contact me. Here's my email address, joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can also follow me at Twitter at Josh Bachynski. Here's the second plug I talked about, the second shameless plug. You can email me at joshbachynski.com. You can follow me at Josh Bachynski at Twitter, and you can watch more YouTube's great educational and free leaks and stuff like that, and SEO experiments that I found at youtube.com/jbachynski. So there you have it. there's the presentation. And there's a million questions in the chat here.
Okay, before we go anywhere, everybody claim for $5. So you have to tell us where was the place.
Okay, so we have someone said
because we have so many answers. Most of them is about Ireland because everybody knew you went to TED. So people presume it's from Northern Ireland. Omagh, Belfast. Well, Dublin is not Northern Ireland. Dublin was I think New Orleans as well. So what is it?
New Orleans is a good guess. There's some streets in New Orleans that looks just like that, but it doesn't. And it does rain. And there are lots of churches and booths, so that's a good guess. But no, it was Northern Ireland. It wasn't Belfast. Actually, it was Omagh.
Omagh. Okay, so Liam guessed, and he wants his $5. Okay, Liam, right. Josh email. Just contact him, and he will send you $5. Okay, Josh, if you look
at five Northern Ireland pounds.
Well, even better. Even more money. Okay, so there are some. If you look at the chart, there are some spot questions. People were asking. Probably most of them they were absolute because there was some link building question or something. So we just skip it. We don't have much time. Just look at the questions and answer questions you want to answer with some kind of reasonable one, but you have to read them out loud.
Okay. No problem. So I can go through some of these pretty quickly. So How do you make local targeting for search engine? I covered that pretty clearly, so look back at the video. I talked about local very clearly. Is the correlation tool proprietary or self-created? As I said, Ted Kabaitis wrote it. It is proprietary. It's proprietary software. It's super powerful. It's a few $1,000s. I'm happy to do a report for way less than that if you just want to get the information. Or if you're a big SEO nerd like me, or you do SEO for a living, it might not be a bad idea to invest in it because it has a wealth of information. It gives you such a competitive advantage, telling, especially in keyword density alone. For that reason alone, it gives a competitive advantage. So email me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. What is my PhD about? My PhD focused on ethics and decision theory. So I did my PhD was half psychology, half philosophy. I also did a lot of continental philosophy as well, historical philosophy, and political philosophy as well. So ethics and decision theory, both how to make ethical decisions, but also how to make good decisions, what constitutes a good decision. Is there a general range of where keyword stuffing threshold lies? No. If there is, I don't know what it is. It's not... no one knows, and basically I think it varies per niche. I think it's relative to your competitors. That's another reason why you have to use the software. I mean, or you can just manually go to each competitor on the SERP and then download like a keyword density plugin for Chrome, go to the competitor, check the keyword density on your keywords you care about, and then record it in Excel, and then you'll see the mean, you'll see the average. I answered the question about that on the statistical graph. What kind of services used to search for keywords? As I said, I use Google AdWords keyword tool. My thought on footer links. I would not use footer links. John Mueller said specifically not to do it. If you have 4 or 5, it's not a problem. But he said if you have any more than that, it could be an issue. I would no follow all footer links. They're not going to give you that much of a, they don't give you a ranking boost anymore. Like maybe the tiniest bit of a ranking boost, but as I said, if you go too much, you're going to fall. If possible, I would get if you want to use that strategy, I wouldn't even use that linking strategy at all, as I said. I would just give up on links entirely and try and do other stuff. That being said, if you have, say you've done all that, I guarantee you haven't. People always come to me and say, I've done all that, I've made my website as good as I can. And then I look at it and it's terrible, right? And their click-through rate is terrible, and their conversions are terrible, and their design is awful, and the bounce rate is awful. And I say, well, no, you haven't. It could get much better. But say you've made it perfect. Let's say you have 90% conversions. Let's say you have like 90% click-through rate. If that is the case, then I digress. And if you still are not ranking, you need more links. And admittedly, if you're in a huge field where you have huge competitors, you're going to need some links. I fully admit that. Probably, although I rank for queries with my one site where the impressions for search query are 20,000 per month, and I have no links whatsoever. I'm still ranking page 1, and I'm still ranking page 1. I'll show you the screenshots if you like, or all the screenshots, all that proof is in my 2015 video. So if you are in a niche that has 20,000 impressions for each search term and less, you don't need any links. You don't need any links. You can just rank on the stuff I just said alone. However, if you're in more than that, you might need some links. So the best place to get links is, again, do something newsworthy. Do something partner with a charity. Do something that the news is going to pick up in your local area. Sponsor some kids. Make a TV show where you sponsor some kids, something that's going to be emotionally provocative, preferably in a positive way, although I've done pretty well with negative, provoking negative responses as well. Any press is pretty much good press, because you can always send a cease and desist for them to take down the hate letters later, right? Just sue them later. But quite frankly, you want positive press for the most part. Pretty much you don't want to deal with the headache of negative press. And do something newsworthy, like, you know, email me and we can brainstorm some stuff that you can do. But you just put on your thinking cap and get a whiteboard out and write down all the good ideas of, okay, we can sponsor this kid and we can sponsor this war veteran and we can do that. And like for your target audience of what they like and what they know, do something that's going to resonate with them and get the news to pick it up. Important thing: call the TV news, call the newspapers and get the news to pick it up and start talking about it, and go on BuzzSumo and get people to start talking about it, and then you're going to get some links and press and everything out of Yes, it was Omaha, Northern Ireland. You're right. That was very close to this, to the Struhl Art Center where I did my TED Talk. So it was downtown Omaha. How do you choose text for local search? Again, I would do the keyword research in Google AdWords Keyword Planner. So here's a good question, and so I was expecting this question. So what if you don't have a business in the area, but you want to rank for that area? Like, so let's say, there's lots of examples. Let's say you want to rank for people in Germany searching great hotels in Czechoslovakia or something like that. Well, then you need to start doing. Then you can't rely on the geographic location. Then you have to rely more on keyword base and task completion and reviews. So exact keyword base. So hotels, Czechoslovakia, best hotel, rated 2016's best hotel in Czechoslovakia, that kind of thing. So make it sound natural, even though you snuck the keyword in there, right? And you need high reviews. You need more reviews than your competitors, and you need to have better task completion than your competitors. And then you might need some authority as well. I fully admit Google seems to have a lag in Europe where you need more links. Like Europe seems to be a couple of years behind in their spam stuff. But John Mueller has admitted that not with the new Core Panda and not with the new Core Penguin, they're going to work on statistical percentages. They don't care about the local language. It's going to work on math, the universal language of everything. So you've got to be really careful, and there's going to be a sharp falling off if you're still kind of buying links and doing it like it's 2008, and it still seems to be working in your area. Be very careful, because that reckoning is coming, just as it already came for North America. Someone asked, can I do an SEO audit on a foreign language website, Russian namely? Yes, I can. Of course, I don't speak Russian. Even though I have a ski on the end of my name, I don't speak Russian, or Ukrainian, or Polish for that matter. But yes, I can, because all my SEO audits, and I show you how to do this in one of my videos on my YouTube channel, most of it, all of my audits are statistics based. So I look at your Search Console, I look at your Google Analytics, and I know what statistics to look at, I know what factors to look at, and what things. It doesn't really matter on the language. I can't really do keyword research for you, but I can tell you what keywords of yours are succeeding or not, right? So if you already have traffic, I can tell you what's succeeding, what's not succeeding, and what you need to change. So yes, I can do SEO audits for languages other than English. And actually, I'm one of the only SEOs who can from North America, because most of their SEO audits that my competitors do, they're crawling around on your site and looking at your keywords and checking your site :search in Google. Basically, they have no idea. And then they're checking your disavow file and looking at your backlinks as if that had anything to do with anything. It has nothing to do with anything. So for those of you who've never heard my disavow rant before, if Anton doesn't mind for me going into my disavow rant, do you have time for my disavow rant? Okay.
Sure.
So here's my disavow rant. Don't use it. The disavow file only exists to inform the Google manual team of what links you don't want to be counted for your site. And that's it, right? So it's only going to help you if you're bubbling up to the manual side. I do not believe, and there's no evidence to suggest, it is going to help you for Penguin, and I do not believe, and there's no evidence to suggest, it's going to help you for any other linking algorithms. So I would not bother disavowing any links. I would not bother with any of that. It's a racket. It's all snake oil as far as I'm concerned. Anyone who disagrees, I'd like to see their evidence, because I've checked like 50 sites now, and anybody who tells me that the disavow file helped them rank, I show that they also lost links at the same time, so they do not have the diagnostic evidence to show it was the disavow. It could have been the disavow, but it was also probably deleting those bad links or losing those bad links. I've seen one that ranking changed to like 4 or 5 spots and didn't lose very many links and also disavowed. But that could also have been Panda. That could also have been click-through rate. That could have been anything else at all. So I think, and I've seen lots of people use the disavow file and hurt themselves. So if the disavow file does anything at all, it's like a gun that just spins around and shoots. Yeah, you might get your enemies, but you could very well get yourself as well. Sorry, that's a weird video game reference, but yes, you could get your enemies, but you're probably going to shoot yourself as well. I wouldn't do that. I would do all the stuff I know helps you first, and then deal with links. So there's my disavow rant. Also, John Mueller recently suggested in Google that it doesn't do anything. And if you want to see the information on that, check my last 2 videos on my YouTube channel where I give the information where John Mueller basically admitted, in my opinion, the disavow file doesn't work like that. So Anton, do you have any other questions? Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, I see one more. So someone asked about the alt tags. So they're not tags, it's alt attributes. The alt attribute is a little bit of a piece of code that goes into different tags, in this case, the image tag. So that's an excellent question. So yes, you need to fill in your alt attributes on your image tag, but Google has specifically said not to stuff it full of keywords. So the example was, should I make it, so if you're selling Toyota Highlanders, Toyota SUVs in Vancouver, should the alt attribute say, on a picture of a Toyota Highlander, should the alt attribute say Toyota Highlander, or should it say Toyota Highlander in Vancouver? The answer is probably Toyota Highlander, unless it's literally a picture of a Toyota Highlander with the Vancouver skyline behind it, right? Then you might be able to get away with it, but quite frankly, it's not helping you. It's not going to help you rank at all for the query Toyota Highlander in Vancouver or buy Toyota Highlander or used cars Vancouver. It's not going to help you rank for any of that. I would just make it Toyota Highlander so Google knows that page is about Toyota Highlanders. It's going to help you kind of on the on-page bit, but you don't need to do it at all. You could very easily tell them your keyword density in just the content that, just talking about, review of the new 2016 Toyota Highlander. I went driving my Toyota Highlander. It's pretty good. It's an SUV. You mentioned Toyota Highlander once. You don't have to mention it again, and it's not going to help you rank at all. Google, exact match domain, keyword and alt attribute, that's all SEO of yesteryear that Google's not using anymore. Yes, you need a high keyword density, a relatively high keyword density compared to your competitors, but you find that out by analyzing the keyword density of your competitors, and then in the content, pushing it up to close to that level, a little bit underneath, just to be safe. It's not really going to it's not really going to help you rank for any queries, and it's only going to be keyword stuffing. And in my opinion, it's only dangerous. I wouldn't do it. There's another question on general SEO stuff. Anton, do I have time for that?
Sure. Till next Tuesday, I'm absolutely free.
Okay. So Avner asked, he's also in the Hangout. Avner, you can verbally ask if people are tired of hearing me talk, but you asked, you're happy to hear my stance on how I manage time and clients, etc. Do you mind asking, what do you mean by that? Do you mind asking that in voice a little bit more if you have a microphone?
Sure. What I mean is, like generally, you sort of stand out among other SEOs I've heard in the past. First of all, in that you did a PhD, you're talking ethics, and second of all, in that you work statistically with a tool that I haven't heard about before. So it's something a bit different, and I was just wondering, like, how does your daily life look like versus other SEOs, and like, how does it look from an agency point of view? I also saw on your profile that you do branding, and myself, I also like spread a bit around a couple of different disciplines, and it just interests me.
Sure. So that's a good question. It's actually a very good question also for other SEOs to hear it, but also for clients who are thinking of hiring an SEO to hear this. I'm not an SEO. I do marketing, right? I do branding, I do marketing, I do digital marketing, I do digital branding, and I specialize in SEO because it is kind of a world unto itself. In and of itself, of being just a general business consultant, my first priority, and every business consultant's first priority, should be risk mitigation. Risk mitigation is my top priority and should be everyone's top priority, especially for people who sell SEO. And that's my main philosophy, if you will, and that's what informs everything I do from a client perspective. That's what keeps me from making sure I'm only suggesting they do things that are going to help them, or at the very least that I know is not going to hurt them, or all the evidence suggests that it's the best thing to do and it's not going to hurt them. That's the tenet of my ethical theory as well. So that kind of informs that whole process. Yeah, I mean, I do stand out in a way. I'm quite opinionated. I've taken my licks for it. If you check SEO Moz, I used to do Whiteboard Fridays, for example. There's very few SEOs who have been invited to do Whiteboard Fridays. I was one of them. I did a Whiteboard Friday on Panda, on my Panda list on my website. I went and I collected all of the leaks from Google where they specifically said specific things they think are low quality on websites, and I made a giant list of them from actual Google employees and Google sources. And so I put that on my website, themoralconcept.net /Panda list, and I've updated it recently for this latest Panda, by the way. And so I did a Whiteboard Friday on that. Everybody loved it. It was like the top 5, one of the top 5 best Whiteboard Fridays that year. And then my next Whiteboard Friday was about the disavow file and how there's no evidence to support it, and anyone who's selling it is essentially a snake oil salesman and is hurting their customers. For some reason, beyond my comprehension, people didn't like that. You know why they didn't like it? Because I knew for a fact that there was a high majority of SEO consultants who are all Moz followers, and that's where they get their customers, that do that. That's what they do. They go into link research tools, they do a 5-minute report, they probably go on Link Detox, even worse, do a 5-minute report, make a text file in 5 minutes and charge $500 for that. So I could do that, sure. I could sell that all day long, right? Why don't I sell it all? It'd be a smart thing to do from a consultant perspective, minimum time for maximum fee, right? Why don't I do that? Because it's not going to help them, and because it's unethical, it's not going to help my business long term. And oh, did I mention it's unethical? It's not going to help them. There's no evidence to suggest it's going to help them, right? And I just can't square that away with my conscience. So yes, I stand out. People don't like me for that reason. People don't like me because I'm making a documentary about Google and how Google hurts people, and how Google is actually not good for liberal democracy, how Google is actually a petty autocracy. And people complain about all these petty autocracies that are hurting people in Africa that spring up, but no one cares about the digital one that's springing up in America's backyard called Google, because Google has great branding, and whenever I talk against Google, people think I want to limit their web freedom or something, which I'm not trying to do anything of the sort. So yeah, so I mean, I'm a like it or lump it kind of guy. I know that. I don't really care. You know, fine. Don't like me. I couldn't give a shit. You know, quite frankly. Avner asked, "Do I feel safe?" Yes, I feel safe. I have 3 black belts. I've been doing martial arts since I was 16. Yeah, I feel perfectly safe. If anyone wants to have a fist fight about it, that'd be great. I'd love to practice. I'm a little nervous when I go to the States because you know, karate chopping bullets is impossible. That's a little dangerous. But yeah, actually, I was bullied when I was younger, and so at 16, I took it upon myself to learn martial arts, and so I know how to deal with bullies. When I was doing my PhD, I haven't actually finished my PhD, by the way. I've done 2 years of it, and then I quit because I didn't want to teach at university. I could make much more money doing this, but I can get the message out much better doing this. But when I was doing my PhD, I actually bounced in bars, and so yeah, I've dealt with a lot of angry people, and so there's a little bit of personal information to get you an idea of who I am. I will fight for your website. Sorry, that was really cheesy. I apologize. That's another bit of personal information. I like cheesy jokes, but yeah, no, that's kind of who I am, and that's the process I take, and that's kind of the process you have to take as an SEO, in my opinion. Too many SEOs, in my opinion, don't understand business consulting, don't understand marketing, don't understand branding. They don't understand conversions. They don't understand how to help customers. They don't understand it's actually better for their business, whether they're ethical or not. And they don't understand. They don't have the research ability to listen to Google, to read between the lines. I can interpret John Mueller so well because I've been working in IT since '94, because I'm an academic. I know what Google is doing and how they think because they're a bunch of IT academics. I can understand what John Wheeler is talking about. I can decipher his Google speak is because I've done political science, I've done political philosophy, I've read all that stuff, and I've analyzed these speeches, but also I've listened to professors drone on for years, and so I can read between the lines of, how to get an A. How you get an A+ in every course is like hacking the Google algorithm, right? You listen to what they say, and then you do what they want you to do. It's the same thing. So I listen to that. I do that on a regular basis. So I'd like to think I have a bit of a competitive advantage from that perspective, a competitive difference anyway. And so if you're not having any good results with the SEO you're currently doing and the SEOs you're currently listening to, well, send me an email and we can chat.
Okay, it was really very interesting. We basically almost 2 hours here. I think Josh, we should just yeah, exactly, we should. Thank you very much. As always, great. You are absolutely great speaker. You don't look like anybody else, and it's great advantage. And obviously, you're a good speaker. Nobody doubt about your SEO knowledge either. Okay, we have to thank you, Josh, because I've seen thank you in all chats. I'm trying to manage a couple of them. If you guys, if you have more questions, today it's closed. You got his email. Just how good he is, how great he is. Flattery will get you anywhere. Just tell him how good he is, and that's it. He is yours, and he will answer your questions and everything. Okay, we will have. Sorry, we lost. Could you do it again?
I said, Liam, email me. I owe you £5.
Yeah, sure.
Well, next time I'm there, I can buy you a gift.
Great. Okay. Next part of this is half of it. Even well, it took almost a couple of hours. Second half, what you should not do, will be in a month's time. Check our webpage. Our webpage. People asking. A lot of people were late. I mean, really late. They're asking video of this one. Video of this one will be just here on our webpage where the webinar is, or on our YouTube channel. Would be very easy for you to find. It will be embedded exactly here where you're watching it now, but a little bit later when YouTube will render it. Another question, a typical question about slides. I know you show us half of the slides. How are we gonna do about it? We're not gonna put all the slides now. We'll put it after you finish the second one. Is it correct? Is what we're gonna do?
Sure, yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so guys, slides will be available after the second part because it's basically one course as all the slides. So I think for tonight, depends on where you are. It's enough. We had almost 2 hours. Thank you very much, Josh. It was very interesting. You guys stay with us. By the way, if Josh relate to software he used and correlation technique. He already done a webinar on this. This webinar you can find if you go to our webpage and scroll down and find a Josh picture. This webinar is there. You can have a look and check on it. Alternatively, go and watch channel, whatever suits you more. Okay, thank you very much for being with us tonight. Today depends on where you are. Thank you, Josh, again. Thank you, and we'll see you in a month's time.
All right, see you guys later.